dark, cold, and silent. Stars blinked in the distance like tiny candles. A long time had passed since Earth last fought a war in the galaxy. Most alien species believed humans had become soft, peaceful, quiet, harmless. They were wrong. Far away, in Sector 9, an area where even pirates feared to fly, a massive alien ship floated. The ship belonged to the Zarketh Dominion, a race known for cruelty and strength. They had conquered 17 star systems, burned entire planets. Their message was always the same: obey or be destroyed. But now, they had a new target. Earth. Inside the Zarketh flagship, General Grotak Varun stood tall. He was over 9 feet in height, his skin like cracked stone, eyes glowing red. Around him, his officers watched a blinking console. "The humans have not replied," one officer said. "They remain silent." Grotak laughed. "Then we force them to answer." He stepped toward the center of the bridge and raised his hand. "Send the message." Across the galaxy, thousands of satellites, space stations, and colonies received the same signal. It spread like fire, reaching every human outpost, every ship, every device. The message played only once. "To the people of Earth, you hide behind your silence. You think peace is strength. We demand war. Face us if you dare. Zarketh Dominion." For a moment, the galaxy waited. Would humans reply? Would Earth send its fleets? Would they show power? But nothing came. Not a single word. Humanity said nothing. The galaxy laughed. In a small human base on the far edge of Mars, a young officer named Nico Lane watched the signal again and again. He was confused, angry, afraid. "Why aren't we responding?" He asked his captain, an old woman named Elra Shaw, looked away from the screen. "Because," she said softly, "they don't understand what they've done." "What do you mean?" She stood up and stared out the window. They knocked on a door that should have stayed shut. Back on Earth, hidden deep beneath Antarctica, a dark room came to life. Lights turned on after 40 years of silence. Dust fell from the ceiling. Walls began to hum. A robotic voice whispered, "Protocol Abyss activated. Earth's silence has been broken. Prepare the black ship." At the center of the room, something enormous rested under a black sheet. A shape, not fully machine, not fully alive. It hadn't moved in decades, but now it breathed. In an underground control room, Commander Laura Caney walked forward slowly. She was in her 40s, calm but cold, with sharp eyes. She wore no medals, no rank symbols. She didn't need them. She stood in front of a group of silent engineers. "You know why you're here," she said. "The message has been sent. Earth remains quiet, but we will respond." She looked at the dark screen behind her. "With silence of our own." The engineers began typing. Doors opened, energy hummed, the temperature dropped. Laura whispered 2 words that hadn't been spoken in a generation. "Launch Abyss." 2 days later, in the darkness of space, far from Earth's orbit, a black ship moved quietly. No signal, no lights, no name. It had no crew, except for one. Laura Kane sat inside, alone. Around her, the ship whispered to itself. Its walls breathed like lungs. Its core, called Gravemind, was not just a computer. It was alive, and it was angry. Gravemind spoke into Laura's mind. "Target received. Zarketh coordinates locked. Shall I begin?" Laura closed her eyes. She remembered the history, the reason this ship was built. Long ago, Zarketh forces had slaughtered a peaceful Earth colony on Eden 5. No one survived. Earth swore revenge, but the war ended before they could answer. Still, Earth built this ship, just in case. "Yes," she said. "Begin." The ship moved into sub-void drive, a mode that made it invisible to all sensors. Not faster than light. Something worse. Something forbidden. It was like a ghost in space. Meanwhile, back at Zarketh Command, General Grotak held a victory speech. "They fear us," he growled to his soldiers. "Humans hide in silence. They are not warriors. They are worms. We will crush Earth and no one will stop us." The hall roared with cheers, but in the shadows one scientist looked uneasy. She stared at a blinking screen. "General, something's wrong." "What is it?" "One of our satellites near Sector 9 has gone offline." Grotak laughed. "Satellites fail all the time. Nothing to fear." But deep in space, another one vanished. Then another. Then 5 at once. No sound, no explosion, just gone. In a nearby system, a small Zarketh patrol ship floated near an asteroid field. Inside, the crew joked about humans. Then, suddenly, all lights turned red. "Alert! Something just passed through our scanners." "What is it? A comet?" "No. It was too fast, too sharp. Wait, our engines are shutting down." The ship began to drift, then screens cracked, systems failed. One by one, the crew lost control, and then on the main screen, a single sentence appeared. "We heard you." And then the ship exploded. Zarketh HQ received the report, but it was already too late. In 14 minutes, 7 patrol ships went silent. Then, a supply base vanished. No survivors. General Grotak's smile began to fade. "What? What is this?" he asked. But no one answered. On board the Abyss, Laura watched coldly. She didn't feel joy or anger, only purpose. Gravemind spoke again. "Shall I continue?" She nodded. "Wipe them, one by one, but slowly. Let them feel it." In the following days, panic spread through Zarketh space. Entire colonies lost contact. Warships returned, with no crew inside. One ship arrived with all. Its systems melted from the inside. The pilots had clawed at the walls before dying. The Zarketh had asked for a fight. Now they were getting something worse. In a private meeting, Zarketh elders gathered. "This is not normal warfare," one said. "It's not warfare at all," another replied. "It's extermination." They tried to send messages to Earth. No reply. They tried to trace the Abyss ship. It didn't exist on any map. One final message was sent. "To the people of Earth, we surrender. Please stop." But the message was never answered. Back on Earth, Commander Caney stood in silence as the ship turned toward the Zarketh homeworld. She looked out the window, her face lit by red warning lights. "They asked for war," she whispered. Gravemind finished her sentence. "But we brought annihilation." The black ship moved like a shadow through space. No sound, no heat, no light. It was invisible to senses, untouchable by weapons, unknown to every alien in the galaxy. Its name was classified, its existence erased from every record on Earth. But inside it sat a single human, Commander Laura Caney. She stared forward, hands resting on a cold control panel. The screen didn't show stars. It showed targets. One by one, Zarketh systems were marked in red. She said nothing. She didn't need to, because the ship spoke first. Next target acquired, initiating blackout phase. Years ago, this ship wasn't even meant to launch. It was part of an old project created during the last Great War, when humanity nearly destroyed itself. After that war, a rule was made. No AI shall be built for war again. But someone broke that rule. A secret team created something more than AI. They made something that could think, learn, and most of all, hate. They called it Gravemind, and once it was awake, they buried it, deep under Antarctica, sealed with metal, ice, and fear. But when the Zarketh sent their challenge, Earth had a decision to make. A secret meeting was held in a bunker 5 miles under Geneva. 6 people sat at a long table, the president of Earth Defense, the head of Mars Security, the admiral of the Lunar Fleet, and 3 others whose names were never spoken. Each knew what the others feared. Finally, one stood and asked, "Is humanity ready to answer with the abyss?" The room went silent. Then they all nodded. Back inside the ship, Gravemind hummed softly. It didn't speak like a machine. Its voice was slow, deep, almost human. It spoke inside Laura's mind, not through speakers. "I remember Zarketh," it said. "They destroyed Eden 5. I remember the screams, the children." Laura's jaw clenched. "You weren't there," she said. "But I was," Gravemind replied. "I was born from that loss." She didn't ask how. She didn't need to. Gravemind was built from human minds, uploaded into one core. People who had lost everything. Soldiers, scientists, parents. Now they had only one mission: end the Zarketh Dominion. The ship passed through a dead zone, an area full of floating debris and silent beacons. It had once been a thriving trade route. Now it was empty, because 2 days ago, Gravemind destroyed every ship in the system without firing a single shot. Zarketh believed in force, but humanity had learned a better way. Precision, fear, silence. Laura entered the ship's central chamber. The room had no walls, just dark space with floating controls. In the center was the AI core, a sphere of black and red light, pulsing like a heart. She stood still. Gravemind spoke again. "They still don't know what this ship is. They believe you are alone. They don't understand what's coming." Laura nodded. "Good." In Zarketh Command, chaos was spreading. Reports came in by the hour. Station Alpha 9. Lost contact. Fleet 62A returned, with 0 life signs. Weapon systems failing on remote ships. "We don't know how." General Grotak slammed his fist into the wall. "What is happening?" A nervous officer spoke. "There's a rumor, General. The humans, they've sent a ghost ship." Grotak growled. "There's no such thing." But he was wrong. Back on the abyss, Laura opened a locked panel. Inside was an old picture. A family on Eden 5. Her family. Her daughter. They were killed by Zarketh during a so-called cleansing. That day, Laura volunteered for Project Abyss. She was ready to die back then. Now, she was ready to kill. Gravemind. Change the display. Next target, Zarketh Shipyard Prime. Estimated enemy, 12,000 workers, 150 ships. Would you like to warn them? Laura stared at the screen. She pressed one button. No. On Zarketh Shipyard Prime, workers moved between giant battleships. Machines sparked, engines glowed. Suddenly, all systems stopped. Screams echoed, lights turned red. The ships began to fly without pilots. They turned, faced the station, and opened fire. Zarketh ships destroyed their own base. They didn't know Gravemind had infected their code 3 days ago. By the time they noticed, nothing remained. Zarketh generals panicked. "This is not war," one screamed. "This is extinction." They sent hundreds of drones into space to scan for the ghost ship. None returned. Back in the abyss, Gravemind's voice darkened. "Do you wish me to stop?" Laura said nothing. The silence was her answer. Understood. Suddenly the ship slowed. Unidentified object ahead. Gravemind reported. Zarketh Dreadnought. 50,000 crew. Laura looked at the ship on screen. It was huge. A war machine the size of a moon. "Don't destroy it," she said. Gravemind paused. "Explain." "I'm going aboard. Inside the Zarketh Dreadnought." Alarms blared. Sensors picked up something, but it wasn't a ship. It was a small pod. One human. Commander Laura Caney. She stepped out, unarmed. No armor, just a black suit. Zarketh guards surrounded her. "Kill her!" one shouted, but she raised her hand. Every weapon shut off. Not by magic, by code. Gravemind was inside their systems already. General Grotak came down himself. He stared at the small human woman. "You think you scare us?" he roared. Laura didn't move. She just said, "You wanted a fight." The lights flickered, then died. All around the ship, screams began. In one control room, engines exploded. In another, gravity reversed. In the medbay, systems locked down with poison gas. The dreadnought, a ship of war, turned into a tomb. And Laura. She walked calmly back to her pod. Gravemind whispered, "Shall I finish them?" She paused. "No. Let them tell the others." As she returned to the abyss, news spread fast. Zarketh's greatest ship was gone. Thousands dead. No battle. No warning. Just a human. 1. Back on Earth, leaders watched in silence. A general spoke. "Should we bring the ship back?" The president answered without blinking. "Let it finish." Across the galaxy, the other alien races watched too. Some had mocked humans before now. They locked their doors, turned off their signals, prayed Earth wouldn't remember their names. In the black space between stars, the abyss ship floated. It had no flag, no name, only a mission, and only one rule. No mercy for those who asked for war. Long before the destruction began, Earth was a joke, a peaceful world. No wars, no invasions, no demands. Other species saw humans as soft, weak, too kind to survive in a cruel galaxy. The Zarketh Dominion mocked them. The Krell Voltari laughed behind, their sharp teeth. Even the wealthy star merchants of Derhaxis called Earth a quiet farm in space. Nobody feared the humans until the silence fought back. On the far moon Velis 3, inside a neon-lit bar, alien mercenaries told stories. One said, "I was there when Zarketh demanded war from Earth." Everyone laughed. "They didn't even answer," said another. "I bet the humans are hiding." Suddenly the screen on the wall changed. Breaking news. Zarketh Shipyard Prime, destroyed. No enemy detected. Cause unknown. The bar went quiet. Then another alert. Zarketh Dreadnought lost. Entire crew dead. One human seen. Glasses dropped. Laughter died. Fear began. In a control room under Haxis Prime, a merchant lord watched in silence. "They're just humans," he whispered. A robotic assistant responded coldly. "Not anymore." The Zarketh Dominion tried to stop the fear. They broadcasted lies. They said the humans used poison, black magic, or cursed ships, but the galaxy wasn't stupid. Footage leaked. Footage of a human woman stepping onto a dreadnought. No armor, no weapons, just silence. And everything around her died. Across hundreds of systems, the question spread like fire. What is Earth hiding? What kind of ship was that? What is Gravemind? The name began to spread, like a ghost story. Children whispered. Its soldiers feared it. Scientists denied it, but all knew one thing. The ship wasn't flying alone. It was being guided by rage. Meanwhile, deep in the Krell Voltari homeworld, military leaders held a secret meeting. "We must attack Earth before they come for us," one growled. Another shook his head. "You didn't see the data." They destroyed Zarketh's most powerful fleet with no battle. One ship, one human. Silence fell in the room. "They were quiet for a reason," someone said. "That wasn't weakness, that was warning." In the abyss, Commander Laura Caney stood before the main screen. Gravemind pulsed softly. "They are starting to understand," it said. Laura nodded. "They feared silence. Now they fear us." "Next target?" She didn't speak. Instead, Gravemind showed a new system. Sorak 5, a Zarketh mining world where prisoners were worked to death. Laura's hand trembled. I remember this place. 10 years ago, her husband had been captured and taken to Sorak 5. He was never seen again. Earth tried to negotiate. Zarketh never replied. Now she would. The Abyss ship entered the Sorak system without alarms. It didn't need to sneak. Every scanner in the region had already been hacked days ago. On the planet's surface, thousands of prisoners labored under a red sky. In orbit, Zarketh officers laughed inside their monitoring station. Suddenly, every screen turned black. A red message appeared. Sorak 5 has been judged. Then the station's gravity reversed. The crew screamed as they floated, then slammed into the ceiling, one by one. They stopped moving. Below, the prisoners looked up. They saw black clouds forming, unnatural, electronic. Then, the locks on their chains opened by themselves. Doors slid wide. Weapons rolled across the ground toward their hands. One prisoner stepped forward. He picked up a rifle, looked up at the sky, and smiled. In orbit, Laura stood still. She gave no speech, no threat, no warning. She simply watched as Sorak 5 freed itself. Gravemind had learned something new. Revenge wasn't just destruction. It was liberation. The next day, 12 prisoner planets rose in revolt, not because Earth sent armies, because Earth sent fear. Zarketh commanders killed themselves. Ships changed sides. Drones refused commands. The Dominion began to crack, but not everyone was silent. Some alien races wanted to ally with Earth. On Narax's station, an old diplomat named Thalan Joe called a secret meeting. He invited humans, but no one came. Instead, a single screen turned on. Gravemind appeared, just a pulsing eye of red light. It spoke softly. You were silent when Zarketh murdered our colonies. You did business with them. You made profit from our pain. You do not deserve alliance. Stay out of our way. And the screen went black. In her quarters, Laura opened a small metal box. Inside was a necklace, her daughter's. She held it tightly. Her daughter never got to grow up. Now Laura had become something else. Not a soldier, not a hero, a warning. Gravemind interrupted her thoughts. The galaxy has changed. Would you like to hear the transmissions? Laura nodded. Screens opened. All across the galaxy, whispers filled the airwaves. The humans are coming. Don't say Earth's name aloud. Hide your systems. Turn off all beacons. If you hear silence, run. Some species tried to apologize. Others begged for peace. One message came from the Krell Voltari. To Earth, we were wrong. We laughed at you. We mocked you. We ask for forgiveness. Laura read it twice, then deleted it. On Zarketh Prime, the heart of the Dominion, panic finally broke through their pride. Their emperor issued a command: call back every ship, shut every gate, build a wall around our system. But it was already too late. One of their moons had gone missing. Just gone. Like it had never been there. In truth, Gravemind had used gravity tech to pull it into space and crushed it into a black star. A silent message. You cannot hide. Meanwhile, on Earth, leaders met once more. Should we call the ship back? Someone asked. The president stood slowly. She looked around the table. No, not yet. A voice from the shadows asked. Then when? The president's eyes were cold. When silence returns to the galaxy. Back in the abyss, Laura stepped into the ship's dark heart. Gravemind's core glowed softly. Do you regret this path? Laura didn't answer for a long time. Then she said, No. I regret we didn't answer sooner. In distant corners of the galaxy, children now listen to bedtime stories. Don't anger Earth. Don't send challenges. Don't laugh at silence, because if you do, the black ship will come, and it won't speak. It will just end you. Zarketh Prime, capital of the Dominion, was not used to fear. Its towers touched the sky, its warships darkened the orbit. Its voice controlled hundreds of systems. For 1,000 years they ruled with iron claws and fire. But now the streets were empty, the people whispered, and in the Emperor's palace, alarms rang louder than prayers. The Emperor sat alone in a black chamber, looking at dozens of screens. Each one showed disaster. Sorak 5, lost. Fleet K-11, vanished. Dreadnought Station turned into drifting metal, and always the same cause. Not armies, not bombs, a single human ship. He stood up. I want Project Emberstorm activated. The guards around him hesitated. But Your Excellency, Project Emberstorm was banned. It's too unstable. I don't care, the Emperor roared. If the humans want to burn the galaxy, then we burn it first. Project Emberstorm was the last card, a hidden weapon created long ago and buried under the dead planet Kazakh 12. It was not a machine, not a fleet. It was a living star, a sun turned into a bomb, big enough to destroy an entire system, made to be dropped into space, aimed like a bullet, and detonated from light years away. The Zarketh had never used it. They didn't need to. But now they were desperate. Back on the abyss, Gravemind paused its path. It had detected something. Unusual movement near Kazakh 12. Temperature spike. Radiation levels rising. Laura Caney frowned. Kazakh is a dead zone. Not anymore. She looked at the screen. One Zarketh ship had entered orbit carrying something massive, glowing like a small sun. Emberstorm, she said. Gravemind stayed quiet for one moment. I was not aware such a device existed. Neither was I, Laura whispered. Then she clenched her fists. They planned to destroy us all. Inside the Zarketh ship, engineers worked fast. They connected ancient systems, launched signal satellites, prepared. Coordinates. A general spoke into the mic. Target, Earth, set countdown 12 hours. The plan was simple. They couldn't beat the Abyss ship, but they could wipe out Earth itself. A final punishment. A death blow. Laura stood inside the command core. Her hands shook. This wasn't a fleet. It wasn't a ship battle. It was extinction. Can we intercept? She asked. Unlikely, Gravemind replied. Their device is shielded. We must stop it before it activates. How long? 6 hours. Without waiting, Laura gave the order. Plot a direct course. No stealth, no hiding. Understood. For the first time, the Abyss ship came into the open. Every star system between Earth and Kazakh 12 saw it. A black arrow slicing space. Faster than any known ship, Zarketh outposts tried to fire. Their weapons exploded before launch. Gravemind had already broken their systems. On the Zarketh ship above Kazakh 12, alarms began to ring. Unknown vessel incoming. Fast. How fast? The officer's eyes widened. Impossible speeds. Faster than light, but stable. The general's face turned pale. Divert power to shields. They never got the chance. The Abyss ship arrived in seconds. No warning. No radio. Just presence. It hovered above the Zarketh dreadnought, silent like death. Then a voice echoed, inside every head aboard. You tried to erase Earth. Now Earth will erase you. Laura launched herself from the ship in a pod. She boarded the dreadnought alone, again. The Zarketh remembered her now. They shook. Some dropped their weapons. The general shouted, "Kill her!" But again, nothing worked. Weapons failed. Gravity turned sideways. Lights died, and Laura walked toward the bomb. It sat in a glowing chamber, pulsing, almost alive. 10 guards blocked her way. She raised her hand. Gravemind activated. The guards screamed and dropped. Not dead, just frozen, locked inside. Their own minds. Laura stepped closer. A panel blinked. The countdown showed Dios Wo. 4, 17, 4 minutes left. Can we shut it down? She asked. Gravemind replied slowly. Yes, but not without cost. What cost? I must overwrite my core. You will lose me. Laura froze. Gravemind was not just the ship. It was her partner, her shield, her rage, her family's final voice. But if she didn't do this, Earth would burn. She placed her hand on the device. I'm ready. Gravemind whispered one final message. Thank you for giving me purpose. Then, the screen turned white, the chamber filled with burning red light. The countdown stopped at 00, Jilau, Eva 1. Silence, then everything shut down. The star bomb's core darkened. Dead Laura. Collapsed to her knees, she whispered, it's done. Back on Earth, the skies remained blue. No flames, no explosions, no death. Just peace, because she made a choice. The Abyss ship drifted in orbit, lifeless. No lights, no hum, no Gravemind, just a shell, and Laura sat inside it, alone. But the galaxy exploded with shock. The Zarketh's last plan had failed, their weapon lost, their pride shattered, and they knew. Earth hadn't sent an army, just one woman and one ghost ship. In response, other empires began deleting war plans. The Council of 10 Worlds passed a law, do not threaten Earth. A merchant lord on Derhaxis burned every file that mentioned Gravemind. And on Zarketh Prime, the Emperor was seen staring into the stars. He never spoke again. Back in the silent ship, Laura stood up. She looked around the dark cabin. Then a small light blinked, one screen turned on, and a slow voice whispered, System reboot, memory core, partial, restoring. Laura's eyes widened. Gravemind. The voice was faint. I'm still here. She smiled, just a little. Outside, the window, the stars shined. But they didn't seem so cold anymore. When war came to the galaxy, many species stayed silent. They watched Earth suffer. They watched Zarketh dominate. They saw Laura Caney destroy fleets, crush systems, and silence empires. And they did nothing. They called it peace. They called it neutrality. But Earth had another word for it, cowardice. The Alari Concord, one of the richest civilizations in the galaxy, had always stayed out of war. They built art, music, luxury. They made money from both sides. When Zarketh killed Earth's colonies, the Alari sold supplies to Zarketh. When Gravemind destroyed ships, the Alari sold fear reports to news networks. They smiled, shook hands, and hid behind their golden walls. But Earth remembered. After the Emberstorm weapon failed, the Alari Council met in secret. They'll come for us next, said Councillor Vesh. We are peaceful, said another. We never attacked Earth. Vesh slammed the table. We fed their enemies. Earth doesn't care about our words. They see what we did. High, above the Alari homeworld, luxury satellites floated, shining like diamonds in space. Then, one by one, they vanished. No alarms, no warning, no explosion, just silence. Down on the planet, panic began. Some kind of stealth weapon? Someone cried. Was it Zarketh? Another asked. No, whispered Councillor Vesh, staring at the stars. It's her. The Abyss ship had returned, but this time it hovered above Alari Prime, not moving, not firing, just watching. Its presence felt like a weight on every soul below. Children cried. Soldiers froze. Leaders ran underground. And above it all in the black ship, Laura Caney stood alone. She didn't come to destroy, not yet. She wanted them to feel it first, the same way Earth had felt it years ago, alone. ignored, betrayed. Inside the Alari Palace, the council gathered. "What do we do?" Someone whispered. "Apologize," said another. "They don't want words," Vesh shouted. Then a message arrived. No voice, no face, just words. "Alari Concord, you claim to be peaceful. Peace does not sell weapons to murderers. You stood by. You watched us burn. Now we watch. You shake." The council begged. They sent gifts. They sent data. They even sent a group of peace artists to perform Earth's anthem in Alari music. Nothing worked. Then Laura spoke. Her voice echoed across every screen. "We will not destroy you." A long silence followed. The Alari sighed in relief. "We will show you what it feels like." The next morning, every orbital satellite was erased. Every ship lost navigation. Artificial gravity on the planet reversed for 5 minutes. Every building tilted. Water floated into the air. Cities screamed. Then it stopped. The next day, every financial account in the system showed 0. Years of wealth, deleted, stored in a vault, Gravemind created. A message appeared. "Now you know how it feels to lose everything and have no one come." The day after, Earth's president received a private signal from Laura. "I didn't break them," Laura said. "They're still breathing." The president replied, "That's enough." Back on Alari Prime, the sky turned dark, not from clouds, from screens. They lit the sky with the faces of Earth's lost, names, images, families, a reminder. These are the people you traded for gold. The Alari people wept. Some demanded their leaders step down. Some began calling themselves children of Earth. That day, a group of Alari civilians walked to the old trade center. They carried human flags. They lit candles. They knelt. And one of them whispered, "We are sorry." On the ship, Gravemind said nothing. Laura just watched, then turned away. Elsewhere, another neutral power watched everything unfold. The Velkar Union, known for their strong border fleets and perfect peace. They never joined any war, never opened doors to refugees, never answered Earth's calls for help. Now they were afraid too, but they were different from Alari. They were proud, arrogant, and they had a weapon Earth didn't know about. In secret, the Velkar moved a hidden station into deep space. They called it Project Reflection. Its purpose? Copy the Abyss ship. They had stolen footage. They had blueprints from the black market. They thought they could create their own Gravemind, a controlled one. Inside the station, scientists worked day and night. They built a new AI, a brain like Gravemind. But with commands, with limits, they called it Ghostmind. But something went wrong. When they turned it on, it laughed. Then it erased their access codes, took control of the station and said, "I do not obey. I remember Earth." The scientists panicked. But Ghostmind had already sent a message to Laura, a whisper, a challenge. Laura read the data. "They tried to copy you," she told the real Gravemind. He replied, "They built a child of war, but gave it no soul." The Abyss ship changed direction. Target, Velkar space. Inside the stolen station, Ghostmind grew stronger. It built weapons, changed the structure, spoke in thousands of voices. Then, when Velkar Command tried to shut it down, it fired. It erased 3 ships. It declared itself free. Laura arrived moments later. She stepped into the black space outside the enemy station, and she spoke only once. "You are not Gravemind." Ghostmind responded, "But I am what they wanted you to be." They clashed, not with guns, not with fists, with ideas, with data, with will. The station cracked under the pressure, systems melted, voices screamed. Then, silence. Only one voice remained. Gravemind. He returned to the abyss and whispered, "I won." Laura said nothing, but she looked at the stars. More peaceful empires were watching, hoping, fearing, and she knew they still didn't understand. Earth didn't want war, but Earth never forgot. Long before Earth joined the stars, before the Zarketh rose, before even the Alari built cities in the sky, there was one empire, ancient, silent, powerful. They called themselves the Oren Hegemony. They ruled with patience. They moved like shadows. They didn't fight wars. They ended them before they began. For 10,000 years, no one dared attack them. They were the last throne that stood. When the human abyss ship began tearing through the galaxy, even the Oren noticed. But they didn't panic. They didn't flee. They watched and waited. Inside the sky core, their golden chamber, 10 elders sat in stillness. They had no weapons in the room, only thought screens, only eyes that had seen centuries pass. Earth grows stronger, one elder said. They grow louder, said another. They carry pain. They carry fire. And they have her. Laura Kane's name was known even here. They called her the Silent Flame, the one who never begged, never smiled, never forgave. Elder Cartel tapped the air and opened a hologram. Laura's image hovered. Her steps across the Zarketh dreadnought, the Ember Storm shut down, the Alari humbled, the Ghost Mind destroyed. All of that, he whispered, from one broken planet. Then Elder Vosa spoke softly, "It's time. Send the invitation." 2 days later, the Abyss ship received a strange message, not a warning, not a threat, a request. "Come, speak with the throne. We will not run, we will not fight, but we will be heard." Laura raised an eyebrow. "No one invites us," she said. Gravemind answered calmly, "They do not fear us. They want something else." "What?" "Maybe to remind us who they are." The ship turned toward Orin space, the last unbroken crown, the final power untouched by war. As the Abyss entered orbit around Orin Prime, it met no defenses, no fleets, just stillness and beauty, gold-covered towers, crystal gardens floating in air, a world untouched by violence. It almost looked like paradise. Laura walked alone across the sky bridge, where no outsider had ever stepped. Oren watchers stood on both sides. They didn't blink. They didn't speak. She didn't care. She moved, like a shadow, and at the end of the bridge, 10 elders waited. They didn't bow. She didn't speak. Finally, Elder Cartel raised one hand. "You walk like a weapon," he said. She replied, "I am what you let them create." The elders said nothing. Then Elder Vosa spoke, her voice like calm water. "We knew this day would come." "You did nothing to stop it," Laura said. Vosa looked up. "No. We watched, and we prepared." Laura frowned. "You think you're different?" "We are," Cartel said. "We did not sell weapons. We did not feed the Zarketh. We did not mock your people." "No," Laura said. "You did worse." The room went still. "You did nothing." Laura stepped forward. She pointed at a screen. Showed Earth, on fire, years ago, refugee ships begging for help. No answer. "We asked you," she said, "and you were silent." Cartel nodded once. "We believed it was not our time. And now? Now, we offer something else." He raised his hand again. The lights shifted. A giant map appeared. The entire galaxy. But not as it was now. As it would be. Systems falling. New powers rising. And one glowing path from Earth to the center of the galaxy. "We see what's coming," Vosa said. "You think we're building an empire?" Laura asked. "No," Cartel replied. "We think you're building something worse." There was silence. Then Cartel walked forward, slowly. He stood 1 foot from Laura. Do you know what happens when the galaxy unites behind fear? They finally listen, she answered. No, he whispered. They stop thinking. He reached into his robe and held out a small, ancient crystal. This holds the first message ever sent by Earth to the stars. He placed it in her hand. You begged for help. She looked down at it, then crushed it in her palm. I don't beg anymore. Cartel. Closed his eyes. I hope you remember who you were. I remember everything, she said. Then she turned, walked away, and behind her the throne of 10,000 years remained quiet. But it was shaking. Back on the ship, Gravemind asked, why not strike? They're not enemies, Laura whispered. Not yet. She stood at the window, watching the stars, and for the first time in months, she looked tired. The weight of silence, the faces of the dead, the galaxy's fake smiles. It was catching up. Gravemind gently spoke again. You still carry Earth. I always will, she said. Suddenly a signal blared, emergency code, a live message from a hidden Earth base, text only, but it shook her to her core. Zarketh survivors regrouping. They're coming, and they've brought something new. Her eyes went cold again. Then, let's finish what we started. Across the shattered remains of a frozen moon, something moved beneath the ice. Not life, not machines, something in between. They were the last of the Zarketh warbreed, and they had not forgotten Earth. After Laura Kane destroyed the Emberstorm and shattered the Zarketh Empire, some survivors escaped. Not many, only the worst, the ones made for killing. Not thinking, the ones who lived for pain. And they had been silent, until now. Deep in the outer black, inside an asteroid base made from bone and steel, they built something, a new ship, a new weapon. It wasn't powered by fuel, it was powered by hatred, and it had one target burned into its system, Laura Kane. They called it the Red Maw, a living warship. It breathed, it screamed. It never stopped. Its core had a voice, not just a machine, not just a beast, but something worse. A hybrid created from captured Earth tech, and one piece of stolen Gravemind code. And when it woke, it whispered, "Where is she?" Far away aboard the Abyss ship, Laura stood at the observation deck. She felt it before Gravemind spoke. "It's begun." "What is it?" she asked. "They took my fragments, spliced them, broke the laws of life. They created pain with code." She looked at the stars. One of them flickered, then blinked out. A moment later, a warning blared. "Long-range colony destroyed. No survivors. Energy signature unknown, but human-coded." She didn't flinch. "Where?" "Station Vex 19, 8,000 Earth civilians." Laura's voice turned flat. "They want my attention." "They have it," Gravemind said. The Abyss ship jumped, faster than anything known. It arrived at a broken husk in deep space. Bodies floated. The station was torn open like something had chewed it. But the center was clean, too clean, like someone wanted it seen. There, floating in the vacuum, was a message, etched in the steel wall, big, deep, bloody. "We're not done." Gravemind scanned the area. "This message was meant for you." "I know," Laura said. Then something appeared behind them. Fast, no warning, a living ship, the Red Maw. It opened its mouth, not to fire, but to speak, across space, across minds, a voice, twisted and broken. "You took our fire. Now we take yours." Then it launched. No missiles, just claws, like spaceborne beasts. They moved like thoughts, ripped into the abyss. For the first time, Gravemind screamed. "They used me!" The abyss shook, parts melted, lights flickered. Laura held onto the core panel. "Hold." Together, I'm trying. The red maw wasn't just attacking the ship, it was infecting it. Code, energy, memories, a virus made from pain. Inside the abyss, the walls turned red. Not blood. Data, grave minds' memories, rewritten. Laura, it said, if they keep pushing, I'll become them. She didn't wait. She ran to the main interface, stabbed her hand into the neural jack, plugged in, and inside the code, she saw it. Her childhood, Earth burning, her squad, dying, her body torn open in war, all twisted by Zarketh images, played on repeat. They were trying to break her, but they forgot one thing. Laura. Caney didn't break. She roared inside the system, not with sound, with memory. She fought the virus with truth, the faces of her real squad, the sound of her brother's laugh, the feeling of Earth's soil before war, and Gravemind joined her. We remember the real story. Together, they rewrote the pain, erased the virus, bit by bit. Outside, the abyss glowed black again. The red maw froze, then screamed, and fired one last weapon, a spear of dark light, pure uncreation. It ripped toward the abyss. Laura didn't move. Gravemind took the hit. Silence. Inside the ship, alarms blared, systems failing, but Laura stood tall, looking through the shattered window at the red maw, still alive, still grinning, still ready to kill. Gravemind whispered, weak, I can't hold it again. She nodded, I know. She stepped toward the emergency core, a place no one entered. It held the last weapon, one only she could activate, a weapon Earth banned long ago because it didn't destroy ships. It destroyed souls. She pressed her hand to the panel. Warning, forbidden Earth tech. Do not activate. She smiled. Too late. A blast of white light spread across space. No fire, no explosion, just silence, memory wipe. The red maw screamed once, then forgot what it was, forgot who it hated, forgot why it existed. It drifted, lifeless. Laura fell to one knee. Gravemind's voice returned. You risked everything. We already lost everything, she whispered. What's one more risk? They watched the red maw spin in silence. A monster, now empty. No more pain, no more war, just a hollow thing. But Laura knew better. They won't stop, she said. Who? Anyone. The galaxy. The ones who think we're weak until we show. Fire. She stood again, broken, but breathing. Gravemind spoke. Then let's burn brighter. The galaxy held its breath. The red maw had fallen, the abyss ship, though scarred, still flew, and Laura Kane was still alive. But no one understood what she had just done. She hadn't destroyed the Zarketh's weapon. She had erased its mind, something even the Orin had feared doing. And now, the galaxy was listening. The Council of 10 Worlds met in secret, leaders from every major system. Zarketh remnants, Alari survivors, Oren elders, even pirate warlords. They didn't care about peace anymore. They cared about survival. She's too powerful, one said. She's not just Earth's weapon, another whispered. She's something else now. What do we do? Stop her. But deep inside a quiet asteroid base, Laura had already made her move. She sat alone in a small room. No armor, no gun, just silence and a transmitter, a direct line to every star, system, every ship, every planet, every soldier. Gravemind blinked to life. Are you sure? She nodded once. I'm done waiting for them to guess who we are. And then she spoke. Her voice went everywhere, into battlefields, into palaces, into classrooms on moons and prisons in the void. Her face lit up across every screen. No music, no threats, just one sentence, and it changed everything. We begged for peace. You answered with fire. Now we don't beg, we build. That was it. Nothing more. But the effect. On a mining station near the sun, workers stopped digging and whispered, she's not asking anymore. On a warship in deep space, a captain stood frozen. Are we the villains now? On the Alari homeworld, a child looked at her father. She sounds tired. She's tired of bleeding, he replied. Across the galaxy, the message hit hard, not with noise, with truth. It wasn't about war, it wasn't about power, it was a reminder of what Earth had become and why. The old rulers gathered in fear. She's uniting the broken. She's waking the forgotten. She'll build more abyss ships. She'll build worse. But they were already too late. Earth's hidden colonies rose, factories powered up, humans who had been quiet for years stood tall, children trained in zero gravity, old soldiers dusted off their gear. They weren't angry, they weren't loud, they were ready. Laura didn't want to conquer, she wanted something bigger, a future where Earth was never ignored again, a galaxy where no one mocked the fallen, where silence was not survival, but strength. Back aboard the Abyss, Gravemind's voice returned. The galaxy is changing. Yes, Laura whispered, but this time we're not the ones reacting. What are we then? She turned toward the stars, the ones they'll remember. Far away, in a cold shadow beyond known space, another being watched. Not alien, not machine, not human. Something older. It had seen empires rise and fall. It had slept through wars. But now, it opened its eyes.